Canto 22. Summary. Having been stunned into a stupor by the cry at the end of the previous canto, the pilgrim turns to Beatrice for help. She encourages him and urges him to continue to speak with the souls of the contemplatives here in the sphere of Saturn. One of the greatest and brightest lights comes up to Dante and begins conversing with him. It is Benedict himself, the 6th century hermit who founded his Benedictine order in the monastery of Monte Cassino. His Rule became the guidebook to most of Western monasticism. He notes 2 other souls there with him, Macarius, a 4th century Egyptian hermit, and Romuald, the 10th century Italian monk and founder of the Camaldolese order. Benedict bemoans the lack of faithfulness that has currently beset his order, now plagued with corruption and greed. However, their reclamation is not impossible, and so he remains hopeful. After these words, he and the other members of his college whirl together upwards along the stair back into the Empyrean. Beatrice motions to Dante to follow, and they too climb out of the sphere of Saturn and into the 8th sphere, the heaven of the fixed stars. As they rise, Dante notices with great joy that he has come into the constellation Gemini, which is the same constellation under which he was born. Before they proceed any further, Beatrice tells Dante to look back and down to see how far they have come. He sees the earth as a small globe at a great distance and realizes how insignificant it is in light of the heavens he has now traversed. He sees Latona's daughter, the moon, Maia's son, Mercury, Dione's daughter, Venus, Hyperion's son, the sun, and Jove, Jupiter, situated between his son, Mars, on the one side, and his father, Saturn, on the other. The 7 spheres of the medieval cosmos have been passed through. The pilgrim turns back to the constellation of his birth and the lovely eyes of Beatrice. Canto 22. Saturn and the Starry Sphere. Weighed down with stupor, I turned my guide, just as a little child always runs back there where he has the greatest confidence. And she, just as a mother would succor straight away the pallid and panting son with her voice, which has often made him well, said, "Know you not that you are in heaven? Know you not that all heaven is holy, that what is done here comes from righteous zeal? Now you can imagine just how their song, as well as my smile, would have altered you, since their cry has moved you so very much. Already, had you understood their prayer, you would have noted in it the vengeance you will bear witness to before you die. The sword of this realm above does not slice in haste, nor is it slow except to him who, desiring or fearing, waits for it. But now turn back around toward the others, for you will see many famous spirits if you turn again your gaze, as I say." As was her pleasure, I turned back my eyes and saw hundreds of spherelets, together adorning themselves with mutual rays. I stayed as one who holds back in himself the prick of desire and does not venture to ask, so afraid of going too far. And the greatest and most illustrious of those pearls brought himself over to us, to make my will content concerning him. Then within the light I heard, "Could you see, as I do, the love that burns between us, your thoughts would have already been expressed. But so that you, waiting, might not be slow to that exalted end, I will answer even the thought which you guard so closely. That mountain on whose slope Cassino stands was on its peak already frequented by a people deceived and ill-disposed. And I am he who first bore there above the name of him who advanced on the earth the truth that so greatly elevates us. And such bountiful grace shone down on me that I drew away the surrounding towns from the false worship that seduced the world. These other flames were all contemplatives, every one of them kindled by that warmth that brings forth holy flowers, holy fruit. Here is Macarius, here Romuald, here are my brothers who in the cloisters rooted their feet and held their hearts steadfast." And I to him, "The affection you show in speaking with me, and the kind semblance I behold and note in all your ardor, have expanded my confidence, just as the sun expands the rose when it becomes as open as it has power to be. Therefore I pray you, Father, assure me whether I can catch hold of so much grace as to behold you with unveiled image." Wherefore he, Brother, your noble desire will be fulfilled within that final sphere where all others, mine as well, are fulfilled. There every desire is perfect, mature, and whole. Only in that heaven above is every part there where it always was. For it is not in space, nor turns on poles, and our stairway travels up into it, where it thus conceals itself from your sight. The patriarch Jacob saw that last stair extend upward into that place above when he saw it so laden with angels. But to ascend by it none now removes his feet from off the earth, and my rule remains only as a waste of paper. The walls that used to contain an abbey have now been turned into dens, and the cowls have become sacks full of unrighteous flour. But heavy usury does not exact against God's pleasure so much as that fruit for which the hearts of monks grow so deranged. For whatever the church watches over, all is for the people who ask of God, not for one's kindred or uglier things. The flesh of mortals is so very soft that below a good start does not outlast the oak, from its birth to making acorns. Peter began without silver or gold, and I, later, with prayer and with fasting, Francis his convent with humility. And if you scan the beginning of each, and you observe after where it has gone, you will see darkness fashioned out of light. Nevertheless, the Jordan being turned back, and the sea splitting apart when God willed, was more wondrous to see than rescue here. This he said to me, and joined together with his colleagues there, and they pressed in tight. Then all spiraled upwards as a whirlwind. My sweet lady propelled me after them, with just a gesture, up along the stair. So did her virtue conquer my nature. Nor was motion ever so swift down here, where one mounts and descends by nature's law, that it would be able to match my flight. So may I ever return, reader, there to that devout triumph for which I weep, often for my own sin, and beat my breast. You have not withdrawn and thrust your finger into the fire as quickly as I saw the sign that trails the bowl, and was in it. O glorious stars! O light made pregnant with great power, from which I recognize, whatever it may be, all my genius. He who is father to all mortal life was rising and hiding himself in you when I first felt the air of Tuscany. And then, when grace was granted unto me to enter the high wheel that spins you round, assigned to me was your very region. Now does my soul devoutly sigh to you, to acquire virtue for the hard passage that beckons my soul onward to itself. You are now so near ultimate well-being, Beatrice began, that you ought to keep the light of your eyes clear and discerning. And so, before you are more there within, gaze downward once again, and see how much world already I have placed beneath your feet, so that your heart may here be presented with greatest joy to this triumphant band that comes with gladness to this round heaven. I returned with my eyes to each and all of the 7 spheres, and I saw this globe such that I smiled at its base appearance. That counsel which maintains it as the least, I approve as the best, and he who thinks of other things can truly be called just. I saw the daughter of Latona burn without that shadow, which was the reason beforehand I believed in rare and dense. There I endured the aspect of your son Hyperion, and saw how Maia and Dione move near and around him. And then appeared to me Jove's tempering between his father and son, and the change they make in their where became clear to me. Each one of the 7 were shown to me, how magnificent they are, and how swift, and how far apart their houses are set. All that threshing floor that makes us so fierce appeared to me, from hills to river mouths, as I wheeled through eternal Gemini. Then, to the lovely eyes, I turned my own.